Alright, this is the first semester physicist project, and my group is Brendan Gibbs, Jake O'Gara, Michael Keelan, and Griffin Till, and our physicist is James Clerk Maxwell. What is the name of our physicist? He says here in his Instagram, his name is James Clerk Maxwell. When did he live? He says here to have lived in the mid-1800s or the mid-19th century. Around the time where the American Civil War was going on. He was born across the Atlantic. When it says what country was he born, he was born across the Atlantic in the United Kingdom, in the Scottish city of Edinburgh. In what country and university did he complete the majority of his work? He says here he completed a majority of his work at Cambridge University in the United Kingdom. In what country did he die and at what age? He says here he died in the United Kingdom at the age of 48, so we can see that he was born, raised, and spent all of his life in the United Kingdom. What major contribution did he make to our understanding of physics? He says here his most major contributions to science were the Maxwell equations. Briefly explain the contribution. Alright, we'll go into depth about these equations a little bit, and he says here that these equations describe the properties of electric and magnetic fields and their interactions with matter. Basically, he was one of the founding fathers of the understanding of electromagnetism. Why is this finding significant to you and me? As I just said, and as he says here, these are significant because they are the basic principles for all electrodynamic phenomena. What was his personality? He says here that he was artsy. He enjoyed writing poems along with writing songs, and he was known to have been very smart and intellectual. However, he was also notorious for being very socially awkward. Which other physicists did he work with, if any? He says here he did not work with any other famous physicists. This might be partially due to his social awkwardness and his fear of interactions with other people. Was he awarded any significant awards or positions? Explain. He says here one of the significant awards he won was called the Rumford Medal, which is basically an award given out by the Scottish Royal Society for important scientific articles published in their journal. And he got it for his outstanding discoveries in the field of thermal properties. What were some of his quirks or mannerisms? He says here that one of his odd mannerisms was he had a very strange accent. Also, he was very socially awkward. Were any of his findings incorrect to what we know today? He says here that as far as he knows, he was correct about all of his major findings, and all of his major findings that he published still influence physics today and are still taught today. Was he ever in any legal trouble? He says here that throughout his life he never managed to find any legal trouble, and this may be partially due to his upbringing as a member of a wealthy family in a high-class society. How did his family life or relationships affect his work? He says here he's born into an extremely wealthy family, which allowed him to acquire a greater amount of education than others, and also allowed him to flourish in his works. In short, he basically used the privilege of being in a high-class, wealthy family to springboard him into the success he found later in his career. And here is our reenactment of the RGB experiment, which is RGB stands for red, green, blue. And basically what I do in this experiment is that this was one of his major findings, and he found that if you take a monochrome image of a picture and put a red filter, a green filter, and a blue filter on it, and superimpose those on each other, you see that it creates the full color image of the picture. And here's the video. All right, and on the next slide here, we have further explanation of this RGB experiment from a video that we found online, and we thought it was very helpful to understanding his findings. All right. Hopefully that video helped further your understanding of one of his great findings that served as basically the foundation for modern color photography. Here's our works cited, and here are the credits as to what each individual group member contributed to the most.